Hello, welcome to season two of Another Angle. It's been a while. It's been about 18 months since we have done this, and I'm super excited to be here today. Starting off our season with a new team member, Ambrish Patel. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Abdullah.
No, it's great to have you, to be honest. So Ambrish is a pharmacist by background. You've worked in the project management side and operations for some time. Would you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I started my early career by doing a pharmacy degree, and sort of realized that I wanted to go into the business development and the innovation of healthcare, and how health tech was that, at its sort of initial stages at that particular time. But I went more into project management and the delivery of services within the healthcare system.
Hold on, just a second. You've done your background in pharmacy. Let's start with that. What got you into pharmacy?
So it's quite weird. I actually wanted to do aerospace engineering, but due to family pressures and because of like the whole stability part of it, in the sense that you had to choose a career that was going to give you some future progress, and not just
And
a
the family
dream.
need a pharmacist, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being Indian, it's always a stigma
Same.
to either have a pharmacist in the house, a doctor in the house, or an accountant in the house. So that's where it kind of led me to go into the pharmacy sort of side.
Yeah, tell me all about it. I've done the same. I've been in that trap for
Right.
some time.
Yeah, so I studied at the University of Sunderland, got my master's from there, and then moved down to London and started my career as a area manager for several pharmacies.
Cool. So clearly you like the science. That's what got you down that route, and you've enjoyed your degree, but you decided that's not what I wanted to become as a pharmacist. You were more driven towards the business side of it, right? So where did you start your career?
So I started my career with Delawes.
Okay.
They had an early sort of stage where I could look after about 8 to 10 of their stores, and then that moved along to about 20 of their stores, and sort of developed that whole experience in managing people, learning about new technologies that could be implemented within the stores. As we know that Delawes were quite a big family-owned company. So they gave me that initial sort of boost into the whole pharmaceutical industry, and as it progressed, it just became more and more apparent that that business side and that implementation side and learning the whole new development of new tech that patients could sort of receive and better themselves using that technology and getting that personal healthcare was something that I've always wanted to pursue.
Yeah, absolutely. I think pharmacies in general played a massive role during the pandemic. They were the only businesses that remained open regardless. There has been some changes to the whole pharmacy industry itself. So since you started your career till this day, what kind of changes have you seen?
So interesting you bring up, the last years. COVID has completely changed the way all companies work. Not only pharmacy, but it's also brought in the innovation of how to deliver that healthcare service within somebody's home without them having to leave. Whether it's been, creating online spaces where patients could talk to doctors, consultants, or even pharmacists, and getting their drugs delivered home. Or if it was like a blood test to be done and they couldn't leave the house, that could be sent out to their house as well, picked up at that particular point in terms of like the service that they sort of went for. And this obviously meant the drive for the IT side. Companies had to develop their tech in such a way that they had to remain robust and increase their sort of capability from what they were used to all the time. And it's been mind-blowing. The amount of requirements that change across the 2 years has been crazy in terms of what regulatory sort of purposes that you had increase in, data protection. You're holding people's information, not only like where they live, but also like what sort of health conditions they're suffering from as well.
Did you find it like being like a shock for the industry when all these transformation, digitalization, all these kind of requirements became necessities in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a shock to a lot of smaller independent pharmacies as well that didn't have, that whole tech infrastructure within their systems as well. They had to develop all of these new sort of skills of learning how to, develop an online sort of platform as well. Getting to grips to understand what the requirements were for that. Um, and also how they were going to get that delivery out to that patient, and getting that information to that patient as well, and then also connecting it back to the doctors as to what those patients have also requested.
Nice.
Pharmacies remained open throughout the pandemic as well, which also created a lot of pressure on the working staff members, because that was the only place where patients used to come in. We were all fully masked up all the time. We were wearing gloves, sanitizing every station, limiting the number of people as well coming into the stores. That also created some form of stress, and also, even though patients were very accommodating for it, but you wouldn't want to make them wait for 2 hours just to get their medication. So that innovation had to come through, how we were going to deliver medication, how we were going to stop those queues from, reoccurring on a daily sort of basis. Whether it meant we shut shop for like a couple of hours to sort of make sure that all of our processes were in place and that we were delivering those medication in time, or it meant that we brought in more staff members to sort of have that whole
Support,
operation.
yeah.
Yeah.
And clearly, the whole market, like the whole industry of pharmacy, have also now split between the brick and mortar and the online side. So, day and day, we're seeing like more online pharmacies popping up, and the more established chains like Day Lewis, for example, they haven't made that change or that switch. Why wouldn't they do that?
They haven't. They haven't necessarily had to make the switch because, like I mentioned, pharmacies didn't shut down. The services were still being provided at a limited sort of resource, or at a limited sort of way. So for them it was making sure that all the deliverables were still happening through their stores, and none of them had to shut down in any form of way. Even though, I mean, I can't really speak for them in terms of what their processing was, but from where I came from, we had a whole separate team ready to dispatch if somebody had caught COVID during that sort of time.
Well staffed, well equipped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, if
Yeah.
we're talking about that movement, as we mentioned, that going from brick and mortar to internet-based pharmacies, and how the big players are actually changing that. They are bringing it in because obviously pandemic has actually shown a lot of businesses that they need to sort of move on to that online platform for that deliverable as well, just in case the shop shut, or they're not able to sort of get goods in itself as well. If you can't get goods from a warehouse to your shop, how are you going to get it out to the patient? So all of that, there's so many factors that have come into place that all brick and mortar is going to always remain as like a patient front, where we had this discussion that why is brick and mortar still going to be going, and why does it have so much goodwill in it? It's only purely because customers love going into the store.
They still want to see that.
They still want to see
Pharmacists.
pharmacists. They still want to believe that there is somebody that they can actually go and speak to, and this is what we also saw, that because the doctors became remote, a lot of their consultations became either over the phone or video consultation, or you uploaded an image of say a bite or a sting, or whatever the patient was suffering from. Their first point of call was the pharmacy. I've worked with so many customers or patients where they prefer to come to us just because of the knowledge. The advice,
The trust, the
the
relationship.
relation. Yeah, exactly.
And it makes so much sense, like nowadays, whenever you ask someone, oh, what's the future of healthcare? They say, oh, it's digital, and okay, we get it. Digital is here. It's gonna be here tomorrow, after tomorrow, probably forever. But does that, eliminate the need for that brick and mortar presence? I personally don't think so. Even though like we know for a fact that pharmacies are struggling, the brick and mortars, they they have been squeezed by the margins, by the profit margins they will be making from NHS prescriptions and all that. And now that a lot of them are moving towards that service-based offering, but I don't think there will ever be a point where, for example, we stop seeing pharmacies.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
know.
You're right. It's always gonna like be there in the market. In today's time, the other side of it is to say that our generation is much younger. They're all tech savvy. They want to be on their phone. They want to have that comfortability, but that they don't actually want to go into the store. They want to have that ease of access, that from their mobile, that they're able to sort of place an order for their medication. It goes directly. They don't need to know how it's occurring, but the process is that they order the medication off their online web app that's either by the NHS or by the company that they're signed up to, and in 2 days' time, prescriptions like delivered through their door. It's all about the ease of access
Yeah.
now.
And I think a lot of it also comes down to human instinct. These features that technology brings you, like accessibility, affordability, how fast it is, all those kind of things, obviously technology would provide you with. But when you look at the grocery market, yes, you can order everything from Sainsbury's.com or from Tesco.com, but that doesn't stop you still from going to the grocery. I'm not comparing, apples with medications, but again, there is a need for people still to see someone, at least to get that knowledge from, to ask those questions. And as a human instinct, the first thing that comes to my mind when I need a medication is not to go on an app or download an app and get it all ordered in time. If I need it really quickly, I might do that route. But probably sometimes the quicker route for me is just to go down the road to the next pharmacy at the corner of the street and just speak with the pharmacist and get my medication there and then. But yeah, it's really interesting time to be in.
It is. I mean, like, it's all about how the health tech is going to change in terms of bringing that efficiency, in terms of early detection. You can see it in the last 2 years during pandemic. How did they create the vaccine so quickly? If there wasn't that technology behind it, we would still not be at a position where we vaccinated so many people. And it's all done, online, remotely, in that sort of way. So it is like something that the future of it is always going to be there. Whether it moves completely online, I can't say that for sure, because I still believe what you're saying, like in terms of like saying that I would personally want to go and pick up my own medication and just have a chat with the pharmacist, or just have a question. You're not going to be able to do that with a remote online consultation in any form of way, because no one's going to give you the time to. The health tech the online applications are only allowing you a certain sort of time frame that you'll be able to talk to either a GP or a pharmacist or a consultant.
And I think in a lot of instances, the online pharmacies have found their perfect fit with the services that need discretion, where someone that would not feel comfortable going in and speaking with a doctor. You see them, they all in a way becoming specialized in erectile dysfunction, like they all do that kind of sexual health consultation. Whenever you go to any website, you see all those type of images on their website just like promoting these products. And it does make sense, there is a fit for that need, there is a need for that product, that kind of service that is discreet, that is remote, that does not require that interaction, where you can offer something new. But I think when it comes to the brick and mortar services, there needs to be some disruption. I think there is, the pharmacies have picked up on what will bring them that sustainability from a service point of view, and transforming their model from just procurement, resale, type of vendors or salesmen to actually becoming actual service providers. Let's say if we were to give you that crystal ball now and tell you, Ambrish, in 5 years, where do you see this whole industry going? How do you see the pharmacy market becoming?
So it's been stagnant for the last 5 or 6 years already. I mean, obviously, pandemic would have changed anything if it was going to create that wave of change. but you've actually seen more of it, more and more of it in the same direction. Yes, you know, the NHS are pushing for, as you mentioned, that the margins are very low. You know, they're pushing for more and more services. The payments of it as well are, you know, based on the services that you're providing and no longer on the medication you're dispensing out, which eventually then takes it away to say that, you know, a lot of the companies are going to go that hub and spoke sort of model, or create like an online platform whereby, you know, the dispensing is not going to happen in the pharmacy anymore, but it's going to happen in a warehouse, because the necessity of it being done in a brick and mortar sort of style, it doesn't need to happen. You know, it's more about that consultation, it's more about that service providing in pharmacy. So just by, you know, reading the white papers in terms of where even the NHS wants to drive pharmacies, it's going to be going that way. You know, they're looking at taking away, even giving out vaccinations or like the flu jab by the pharmacists. You know, they're trying to train up. They're trying to train up health technicians to sort of give that out. You know, like through pandemic, and talking about vaccinations again, you know, we had air hostesses, we had, you know, business corporates that, you know, had been made, you know, on furlough, that had been put on furlough for, you know, through pandemic, that, you know, took up the jobs of giving out the COVID vaccination in particular. So there are loopholes now being created to have more and more people be able to give out these services and free up the pharmacist time and free up the consultant's time or the doctor's time to drive more and more specialized services within the industry, and it all goes back to that personalized healthcare.
Yeah, I've always seen pharmacists the first line of defense to ailments in general, you know, and they should always be there. I think it's just a matter of enabling those pharmacists to take that role more proactively and be supported, you know, by healthcare providers or national healthcare services to do just that, you know. Obviously, a lot of technology that came in, like the robots, the dispensing robots, should help free up the time of the pharmacists and the dispensers to do more of the prevention and the health promotion within their communities. So I do really generally hope that there will be some effort by the regulators to subsidize some of those barriers in terms of costs, and help those pharmacists to do their role in their communities. But
yeah, it's interesting times in terms of how it's going, because it's no longer just, you know, prescription comes through the door or through like an online form, and the pharmacist is just checking and putting a label on a box. You know, there is that whole personalized sort of care that is going forward.
Now, obviously, there is like big players that are actually jumping on this wave of online pharmacy, like Amazon. What do you think will happen if Amazon was to come to this market?
My personal opinion, I think it would break the whole brick and mortar entirely, because brick and mortar right now can't, you know, match what online pharmacies can already do and deliver, even though they still end up being the, you know, that second best option where some online pharmacy sort of fails to deliver. But like a platform.
But actually, to be fair to the brick and mortar, Amazon Pharmacy is in the US, fully operational. They didn't wipe out CVS or, you know.
But I'm talking about the independent pharmacies, yeah, right? Like, if you're talking about a company that, like CVS, that has over 300-400 pharmacies across different states, you know, they're not going to be affected by it in any form of way. And it also then goes down to, like, you know, loyalty, customer loyalty. It goes down to that, you know, how you mentioned that you prefer going in yourself to the pharmacy and then having that chat with the pharmacist, or, like, you know, gain some more information based on that. With the Amazon part, it's more the delivery. Like, you know, you place an order and you get it the next day. That's what they're bringing into the UK market. But where's the personalized healthcare then? Where's the like, you know, that one-to-one chat with, like, a professional? Are you going to have any sort of sense of security that you're actually talking to a healthcare professional? in the industry, or like are you just talking to like a robotic analytical communicator just based on the information that you're providing on their platform? It's a give and take, and I do hope that the UK's regulators don't allow Amazon to actually come in with that platform anytime soon, because obviously it will break a lot of businesses or put other businesses out, to be honest.
Yeah. It's very exciting times, I would say. The regulators, they haven't approved their market entry yet, but when they do, and if they do, it will definitely shake up things.
Yeah, it's a definite game changer.
Thank you very much, Ambrish. It was a really pleasant time speaking with you. I do wish you a great success in your new role as our project manager, and thank you everyone for listening in. Stay tuned, more episodes to come through, and see you next on another angle.
Thank you for having me on here.
Cheers.